Hello, good morning, everybody. We are live and happy to be back for this week's webinar. Before I introduce today's speaker, I just wanted to give you a quick catch-up of where we are with the Hydromet Network. We hit 1,000 members last week, which is a great achievement. We're really grateful that so many of you have become engaged with this new service. We've only been operating for a month. But the whole team at Verisian are really pleased with the progress, really pleased with the quality of the speakers and quality of the engagement as well. So thank you from all of us. Please, we are here to help you all with your professional lives. We're here to help the global Met service community. So if there's anything we're missing or anything we can do, please do get in touch via the platform or email us directly. We're always happy to help. A few housekeeping notes before I hand over to Dr. Ariz. Periodically, we do a deep dive. So we've had a number of weekly webinars, which we will continue every week throughout the year. But every month or so, we take a longer look at a topic, and we have one of those deep dives coming up on the 13th of July, where we will be looking at air quality and the role of Met services in air quality forecasting. So we'll be working with WMO and others to really help your Met services understand how you can integrate air quality data with existing forecasts. We'll be looking at the infrastructure you might need to build, and we'll be looking at pretty much how you can provide really good air quality services to your various stakeholders. I think it's going to be an interesting event. It's super relevant at the moment as well. So please do join us on the 13th of July. Most of our events start around about 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so East Coast US time. This is the same. It will go on a bit longer, so rather than just the one presentation, we'll go on for a few hours with a number of short, insightful presentations, rounded off with a panel discussion at the end of the day. In terms of today, one of the areas where we've had an awful lot of good feedback on is we've been asked to do more webinars beyond policy, beyond infrastructure, and beyond the science of meteorology and hydrology to look at management issues. So we've invited Dr. Marcus Ariz to provide a good, insightful presentation on the relevance of quality management and leadership generally, but also specifically within Met services, and how by following some simple rules and evolving your management processes, you can create a good team, you can help with capacity issues, and you can really strive for greater performance. Before I hand over to Marcus, I just want to remind you, please, we want to be as engaged as possible. So do ask questions. You can use the chat box, the chat box or the Q&A box within our platform. One of us will be there to monitor the questions and to put them to Marcus after his presentation. And that's it from me. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to Marcus now. Marcus, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwyn. Hello, everyone in every state in the world. We will talk today, and I hope to help you, about the relevance of the quality of management and the leadership. Considering all the organizations are managed based on some models or systems, including the regional culture heritage, our objective here is to present a system that serves to improve the management system based on three essential values. First one, awareness about the impact of the management system over all the stakeholders. Second one, the expression of human values among people and the conscious leadership in their leadership systems. Here you can see a chart about how is the leadership among all the organizations and the different systems and models that we have in the world in this moment. The more highest one is the International Business Excellence class. If we can measure this in 100%, each one of the models has a percent to achieve in this line. The goal that we will see today is the ISO standard that can be achieved by practically all the organizations in the world. But the only one who crosses and is applied in almost all the countries in the world, 170 countries, is the quality management system ISO 9000, established by the International Organization for Standardization. Considering that it's possible to be applied in any kind and size organizations due to the holistic vision and their very simple and logical language. The statistic presented by ISO International Central Secretariat in Geneva, Switzerland, shows that the services organizations who implement and certify the quality management system under standard ISO 9000 have a saving between 20 and 35% in their cost, improve their productivity, and in 20% in time and effectivity, and improve the quality life of its members, and improve their relationship with the stakeholders in effectivity and new agreement services. One of the most important attributes in the QMS is the leadership, and established as a leadership system, it considers first the strategic direction, the development of organizational culture in quality, strategic aims, strategic alliances, the commitment. The first one is strategic direction. The second one, the commitment, the knowledge of all the stakeholders. This point is very important in the organization. The benchmarking and the education and system training in quality management. The third one is the social responsibility, the environment, the sustainable development, and the respect and inclusion of cultural value. Why is important the leadership system in the QMS? As we were shown before, the leadership of the direction team needs to have a very strong commitment, because the objective of that is to put the focus on customer, directly customer, and the other stakeholders, the excellence and the continuous improvement, and the resources application. But for that is very important to have very clearly the aims. For that, the direction, the strategic direction is a point very important. And remember, we need all the time to pay attention in the culture of the organization. Must be an organization with a conscient culture that they are doing. The second one is very important to understand what is the fundamental purpose of the organization, to recognize the human and applicate that human values and the organization values, the vision, the mission, the strategic aims and goals, and the improvement of the strategic decision. And the third one, like we explained before, the social responsibility in excellency in the community. That point is very important to understand, to have a global vision all the time, holistic vision all the time. The environment, the sustainable development, and the improvement planning. For that, the conscious leadership system must have a high performance in conscious guidelines. always the focus on who and where impacts the services of the organization in all the stakeholders, and remembering all the time to be coherent in the expression of the human values and the institutional values. How do you add value in this context? First, standardizing organizational processes, the management is improved. Learning from benchmarks saves time and effort in the implementation of the QMS. Acting the main human values, peace is strengthened, and respecting the human being and their values in cultural differences, their socioeconomic capacity and nature, the non-violence is strengthened. Duties of the conscious leadership within the organization. Develop the conscious leadership system and the QMS. Consolidate the conscious QMS in all the organization. That means the coherence among what you feel, what you think, what you talk, and what you do. In that way, there is an expression of coherence. One of the points today in the world we are seeing that is the incoherence among that the people think, that the people feel, that the people talk, and that the people do. Second, the organization culture, considering the fundamental purpose and values, the leadership system in the QMS by establishing and aligning all the processes within the QMS in order to comply with the established agreements. Spread and apply through the example and practice both human and organizational values and fulfill their social responsibility with all the stakeholders. That point is very important to talk. The stakeholders is all the people who receive the impact that the organizations do. Sometimes we find that they are hidden stakeholders. So we need, as organization, to have the information and all that the stakeholder needs to achieve in the relationship with our services. The clear rules in each scenario are protective defenses for our mind. And remember that the quality is not the things that people do, but in the people who makes the things. Thank you very much for all of you. I will share some answers if you need to ask now. Thank you very much for all of you.
Dr. Rees, have you finished?
Yeah, I finished.
Great. Okay. So do we have any questions? If any audience members have any questions, then feel free to ask them using the chat function. Dr. Rees is available to answer all of your questions. So we have one question coming in, and it's from Dr. Navarro, actually. What is the responsibility of high-level personnel in the implementation on a quality management system and of all the personnel to improve the attitude of all personnel? So basically, what is the responsibility of a senior person to do that?
Yeah, understood. Well, it's the most important in the beginning of the implementation of one quality management system. Why? Because many people in the middle level of the organization sometimes want to change something, but if the leaders, the high level of the CEO, CFO, of the president of organizations are not convinced that the importance to implement a quality management system, the results will not be good. That we saw many people asked during all my experience in these more than 30 years in implementing quality management systems, told me that if it's necessary, only one person of the high level don't want, we cannot apply this. So the first thing is to show why it's very important for them, for the high level first, to understand the importance, the relevance of to implement this. Because the high level all the time is thinking about the business, about the results that they want, but sometimes they are not taking and they're not aware about the importance that all the organization it's making services, all the organizations. So it's very relevant, very important, the high level of any organization understand that to make the implementation of one quality management system, it will be a good returns for the organization, for all the organization, not only for them. That I spoke before. Yeah, the relevance is that we can optimize to improve the costs. The costs are not all the time lost costs. No, it's to improve the costs, because the cost is the energy when you put, no, when you are doing something, is energy is a cost too in the space and time. So it's very important to that the high level, the leaders, and to understand the relevance of it. And if they are not convinced, is not functioning. So it's very important. Yes, I respond. It's very important. So after that, the organization will understand in the different level when the leadership, the leaders of the organization decided to implement, is very important to introduce and to involve all the organization, not only the chiefs or the level of management. That's the importance to have a quality leadership as a system. You see, as a system is not only the person, it's all the system, all the organization, all the levels to take a decision must understand and must be convinced about the importance of this. Because when we have not, again, we are not receiving something in return, we are not convinced that to do it.
Thank you. And we have another audience question coming in. Can you comment on areas of improvement generally needed by national Met services?
Can you repeat the question,
Sorry,
please?
yeah. Can you comment on areas of improvement generally needed by national Met services?
Yeah. I have not too much experience in national services, but Dr. Navarro, Guillermo Navarro, is the person who was talking with me about this. And it's very important now in this moment, in everywhere places in the world, to perform all the services, national services of meteorology and hydrology, because each country is not has not the same performance to respond the necessity of the clients of the stakeholders. So the area where I think is necessary first is that the persons who are in this moment having the responsibility to lead that services, national services, to understand and to know very well which are the best management systems to improve their own management systems. Suppose you are in, or the person who made the question is in a country where the culture is the historical culture to do things. Suppose to write with hand the documents. Today, the necessity of the world is very fast, needs to have a fast response of that in the climatology, in the water, in everywhere. So the area most important first is inside the organization to understand. I don't know which are the necessities in each country. In some countries, they need hydrology. In other countries, they need climatology. It all depends on the time and the place to respond to this. But what I can talk is about the importance, the relevance here, that each leader of each organization must know the circumstances and to think with a holistic and total vision, global vision, how to respond. For that is like an organism. Suppose the best example, benchmark for this is the self-organism, the body and the mind. Maybe you want to do something, to add something, but you have problems in your hand, you have problems in your leg, you cannot do it good, high performance. So for that, you need to arrange to conserve the problems in your body and to think clearly to respond in an adequate way. So the point here is how to perform the organization to have a good performance outside, you see? Because the vision in the organization must focus, like we were talking, on the client, what the client needs, what the stakeholder needs, and to make a good deal with them, because the mission of the organization is always defined by the clients. That is very important to understand. All the time, the mission is how I will do a good service defined by the deal made with all the clients. That's the importance here, okay?
Thank you. And we have a few more questions coming in as well.
Okay.
The first one is there any way to evaluate the QMS in developed and less developed countries? And is there a good evaluation tool for this purpose?
Can you write me the question, Win?
I will
Or
do.
repeat me again, because as I talk with it. Yeah.
It's a two-part question, really. So I think the first part is there any way to evaluate the quality management system in less developed countries? So quality management systems in developing nations and developing economies.
Yeah.
So and is there any evaluation tool that can help with this?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. There are tools. There are tools or methods to evaluate. And the importance here is it doesn't matter where is the maturity of your management system in this moment. You see, why? Because the quality management system, it's after all, a way, very clear and very logical way to develop things where you are today. So we can evaluate how you are today to see the maturity of your management system in this moment. Yes, of course. That's the very relevant aspects of the ISO standard 9000. Why? Because you can work everywhere with the tools you have in this moment. You have organization of very high level, and performance. And you have organization that they are beginning with very poor resources. Okay, it doesn't matter, because the rules here are taken with the common sense. So you can work with this in organization with 3 persons, or you can apply this system in organization with 30,000 persons. It doesn't matter, because it's applied in time, place, and circumstances with the very simple tools to understand how to do, because all begin in your mind. All begin in your mind. What do you want to do, and what is your purpose? After you have the purpose, you have very clear your fundamental purpose, you, with resources you have, you will do your best services with the tools you have. You see, all these processes. You understand, we are working here with universal laws. Yeah, you are in space all the time. So space and time, you are all the time going in movement. So the fundamental purpose to improve your management system will good and very important to develop these quality system management systems everywhere, every time, with the resources you have. In the time, you will see how to improve, to have more clarity about the processes, the capacities of the human resources you have, and all the time you prepare all the organization to make a good service, because the importance here is the focus, how to make your service. Sometimes, and that is very important, you can you think that you are making a good service and you are satisfied, but the perception of the other is that you are not doing well. So here is important the relationship of both. In the beginning, when you have the deal, very important, the beginning is the clear deal between both, and then to making the measurement of the perception of satisfaction of this one. So answering your question, if I understood well, is to say that now it doesn't matter where is, in which level is your organization today. There are tools to evaluate in the diagnostic and auto-diagnostic, because that are the best first tools, the diagnostic outside vision and auto-diagnostic inside inner vision, to understand where we are in front of some standards. Suppose we use the 9001 in 2015 as today standard for having this requirement, to see where, in which level of maturity are our management system, and to go very slowly, very fast, as you can, to access, to achieve this minimum standard of the ISO. Is all the organization has the possibility. That is very important to understand. All the organizations.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have another question coming in as well, is how best to implement a QMS system over the course of a number of years. So where do you start and how do you develop it and how do you come up with a coordinated plan?
Can you repeat me, please, Win, and more slowly to understand?
Sorry, of course, yeah. So the first part is, how do you implement a new QMS plan over the course of a number of years? So where do you start and how do you develop it?
Okay. Always I started with the high level leadership, because the necessity comes from every level of the organization. But how I explained before, in my experience, I'm working with quality since 1989. So in my experience, in all the organizations I worked, I was working in many countries, if the leadership is not convinced, but of the importance, the relevance of to change, to improve, it's impossible to do. You see, I saw many organizations that the leaders, they say, why? I am very well, I'm winning a lot of money and I don't need more, I don't need to improve. It's a mistake. All the organizations need to improve and to be aware all the time, because we need insight sometimes, but we don't understand and we don't know all the nature is coming on to our organization. Who take the decisions all the time, are the high level, the leader, or the CEO, the president, or the director of national services. Sometimes we have not the freedom to act as we want because we have not the resources, but I have the intention. I will show you that in an organization in Argentina, when I was working during 3 years, it was in the army. The army have not too much money like a private organization. So they needed to work with some forecast and in that framework to understand, with this framework, to understand how to do. And they decided, okay, we will do it with our resources. And in this time, as well as we can to do. The important here was the director, who was a medicine doctor, and he was very, very committed with the quality in his service, because he has very clear who were their clients, the patients, you see? So all the time he said, I want to help very well all my patients here in the hospital. The hospital had in that moment 380 beds, a very specialty hospital, a very important one. So the important here was the attitude and the behavior of the leadership. So it's important to understand for develop with everything what you want to convince, that was my experience, but to understand that they must be convinced to improve, because sometimes the people don't want to improve. Another thing important in the private organization, because it was more simple in public organization. In private organizations, suppose the board was 10 people. No? It was necessary that one of them didn't want to not apply the quality management system, the organization didn't do it. Why? Because it's very important that all the leadership and all the leaders, all the person must convince that is good. Because never one enemy is a bad enemy, very slow or very, very little one. No, that all is not going on, is going down. So what here is very important to understand that the first level must be convinced that it is good. So you are not wasting your time when you take many, meetings with the direction to show that the importance of that, because what is the important for the consultant here is to show that the organization has necessities, needs, not desires. You need that because you see the results. And then you must show immediately after the diagnostic how to resolve the problems immediately. You have immediate troubles and problems to resolve. And then you go to the important items.
Great, thank you, Marcus. Another question is, if senior management want to implement a new QMS regime, how do you persuade, or how do you make or persuade more junior teams and the rest of the organization to work with you and to make sure it succeeds?
Okay, in my experience, because I did that, is when you had a few meetings with the high level, you invite all the organization in one reunion to show the importance of this. Because one thing we saw is the problems of the interpretations of this. Depends on the level. The last level says, no, I don't have nothing to lose. Okay, I will hear. But the most important level to decision is not the high level, because this, okay, I will do it, is the management level, the second one level, and the third one. Why? Because they are in the middle, you see. They need to lead all the people down, all the employees, and at the same time to get some results for comply the high level. So they say, okay, we will do it. The second level says, how I do it, because I need to make many things in my own area. So the way I used is, after the high level is convinced that this is good to implement, to have a dialogue, a conference, a discourse with all the organization, all of them, all, no one outside. including the organization tercerizadas in Spanish, no? That are not in the organization, but that they are making services in the organization. Suppose the security persons that are making sequence in all the organization. All the people must know, because in that way, there will be not interpretation, wrong interpretation. So one discourse, the way, well, today you use the internet, you know, it's very easy, emails, WhatsApp, or any kind of streaming of to show what do you want to show. But it's very important that all the organization is seeing that the best and the high level organization are implementing this, and they are convincing. So in all the times, I was with the CEOs of the organization, talking at the same time with all of people, because they are seeing that it's only one discourse to do that. And then you see the way, how is the best to implement by groups, by level, etc.
Great, thank you, Marcus. And that's all we've got time for today. So just a reminder to everybody, thank you all for attending again. It's been good to see so many of you here. Thank you for the questions. You know, once again, you've been an incredibly engaged audience, which we appreciate. Next week, obviously, we have another webinar. The following week, we have a number of events, actually, including our air quality deep dive on the 13th of July. So please do join us for that. In the meantime, thank you all for attending. Thank you to Marcus for speaking. And I look forward to seeing you all next week and the week after, and for our ongoing events. Thank you. Yes?
I want to tell you only a very short thing.
Please, yes.
Yes, remember, all of you, everywhere there are issues, there are objectives, but the most important is everywhere, every time, and any person can do an improvement, making good, in the attitude to serve. The nature will give to you the elements how to serve it better. Thank you very much for all, and have a nice day.
And thank you for those closing words. Once again, thanks again for speaking. Thanks for giving up your time. And thank you to all of our attendees today. See you all next week. Thank you.